Welcome to the third video. Wanted to show you real quickly from my pureRef scene what we're going to be working on in this video. We're going to start making these packs. So I was going to use this mole gear as basically this is going to be my reference, my frame of reference. So we're going to dive into Zbrush and start making some packs. Okay, so this is where we left off. I think I'm going to start with a default shape here. I'm going to come over here to my subtools and go to append and then append a cube 3D. It's going to make our guy look like a robot, which is sweet. And I'm going to start just shaping these packs generally one by one into the shapes that we want. So we'll start with the ammo pouches and get that in Dynamesh real quick here. Let's do that. Dynamesh and kind of smooth the edges out just a little bit. And then we want to extract the top part of that pouch. I think they kind of come at an angle like that. Go to subtool and go to extract and hit accept. We can really see it, but sometimes it's nice to just start this all on a fresh new scene. I'm just gonna clear my mask and then scale this in because that's too crazy looking. All right, cool. And we'll go into Dynamesh with this guy as well. And these guys are a little bit different looking in that I think they kind of taper in Y. So we'll come down in here to deformation and go to taper and turn off X and Z and turn on Y, and then kind of try and taper that guy and scale that a little bit better. And they're supposed to be, they're supposed to be completely like this tough, like thick fabric canvas type material. So we want it to look like material and have maybe like a subtle ripple or wrinkle or some kind in it. So I'm gonna come in here too, and we're gonna pull out the seam part of it. Control Alt left click tap on the mesh and sharpen up our mask. And then I'm going to deformation and do like an inflate, a little bit of an inflate here. Actually, let's do a lot more because we need that to show up. So come back to resolution or clear your mask and then re-Dynamesh and see how that's looking for us. It's looking pretty good. So next thing is we want to add the strap here. Actually, let's polish this guy. So these are also a fabric, so they're not like a they're not like a perfect square. So we need to kind of imply that this is not a metal thing or anything. We want this to be kind of fabricy, but not too distinct that we can't duplicate that around and not have it not look like we just duplicate it around, if that makes sense. So just a little subtle wrinkle detail, smooth it back. Okay. Oops. Just adding some bulbousness to it. Is that a word? I don't know. Who knows? Okay, now from here I'm going to do a curve strap snap. Curve snap surface. Curve strap snap. And then we'll run a curve just like so. And that's good for now. We just want to be able to manipulate this the way we want it. So I'm going to make sure that it has different polygroups, and in Dynamesh turn on groups and then bump my resolution to 200 something ish, and then we'll just re-Dynamesh this guy too and get into Dynamesh land with him. And these kind of have like an interesting, I don't know what's going on with them. Looks like they have like an interesting little like fold and then they pop back up again. I don't know. This stuff is confusing. Like that. A little bit sharper on the edges for these guys. This is a very, very thick material. And then right here is where like a buckle kind of comes over across. And I'm assuming it's like a snap right here, but I'm not really totally sure how these work. So using a mix of snake hook and H polish. hide everything, make sure it's all there. And you could even probably crank your resolution a little bit and then introduce like these kind of seams that come down the sides here. Probably one that goes along the bottom. And I mean, you might see this depending on how big you've printed it. Okay, and come in here, and we'll refine this guy too. Just crank the resolution on it. Ooh, did we go too high? Maybe. Yeah, we went too high. Okay, and it looks like there's some interesting seams that kind of come up right here. Cool. And as far as the buckle goes underneath there, let's try and get that guy working. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to secretly, not so secret, I'm going to draw it out right here underneath. And get that into place. Looks like it might need to be a bit taller, like that. Control-Shift left click on this guy, mask. Just trying to isolate this guy just so I get that guy into place. And I think it has like one little buckle that comes up like so, right here like this. No, that's too wide. That's wobbly, but it's fine for now. And we'll go with the profile, rotate it up, and come up like this. And I think that's good for now. Okay, so let's get these guys all merged down. So that's one pack down, which is another cool band name. One pack down. They're heavy into smoking. Okay, H-polish is gonna get nitpicky here a little. Okay, so that's an ammo pouch. And let's make it a little bit wider than is acceptable so that we can make sure that it's going to look stylized. So, oops. Snake hook, pull that guy up just a little so we got some like kind of weight pulling that thing down. And we will make sure groups is turned on, turn down the resolution just a little bit, and then rerun that just to keep it within a friendly resolution level that's going to work well. In fact, we might want to actually pull this bottom part down just a little and kind of have it pop out. Oh, it looks like we are missing a. Like I said, if you're just tuning in, I am looking at reference right now. I'm not just like winging it. I do have some reference up. And so they have these interesting little, looks like these little, maybe webbing type gear that kind of. How should I do this? I'll do subtool and come over to extract and do an 0.006 extract, accept, and now we've got that guy. And we'll Dynamesh, smooth them out just a little bit, and then add some seams traditional Malay gear knows. Goes like that. Maybe. And scale it like this. Just gonna subdue that just a little bit. I don't know if I like that. Okay, and so this guy's done. Let's merge him down. All right, so now we've got our ammo packs. I'm gonna hit save. And one fun thing you can do is we can actually turn this into a brush. So we can come over here to brush and do create insert mesh and just hit new. And now if I actually come up here to the belt, turn everything on, turn off our pouch. If I'm looking at the belt, if I click and drag, it'll drag out our pouch, which is pretty freaking sweet. And he's gonna have a lot of pouches. I mean, as I've been listening to these guys describe how much gear they carried, they would carry, some of them would carry 20 mags of ammo. Which, if you know, like, the weight of that is insane. It's 30 rounds in a clip. I guess it's 20 rounds in these guys' mags initially. But I think they came out with 30 round mags towards the end of the war. 20 rounds of ammo, and that's heavy. So I'm just gonna pull these guys around and start kind of wrapping them around the belt, and we're gonna intersperse some other types of packs too. So don't worry. I'm just gonna see what this looks like. It's gonna bulk him out and change everything. It's gonna change everything, and then we'll leave that for now. And yeah, he's looking more like a soldier. Sweet. Hit P, check out our perspective here. If you want to adjust your camera perspective, you can always come over here to draw and then change it to like a 24 or an 18. And looking cool. I'm gonna get a little bit sidetracked, and I'm still gonna try to bulk out his pants just a little. Don't hate me. Using the Damien standard. So just scaling up my Damien standard draw size and just kind of going along those edges that I've already made. Just trying to pull things out a little bit more. And it's going to add a little bit of bulkiness to it. That's weird looking. Bring down the crotch. Okay, now back to packs. So let's make a canteen now. So I'll come over here and I'll do an append, and I'm going to append another cube. And we're going to make him a robot once again. Pretty sick looking robot. Just a nose just hanging out there. And canteens have a little bit of a bevel as well, or not a bevel, a taper. So in deformation, we're going to change our taper from X and Z to Y and run a taper, so it's going to taper up like so. And hit Control D on the keyboard a few times to round my edges before switching over to Dynamesh. And I'm going to scale up my draw size and continue to smooth that out just a little bit. And we're going to imply too that these are wrapped in fabric, and I think they did that to keep the reflectivity. They don't want like the sun shining on metal parts to give away their location. So I think that they intentionally wrap these things in fabric for that reason, but I could be wrong. All right, so here is our canteen shape. I'm going to use P, go to orthographic view, and then switch over to my clip curve brush to chop off the top of that guy. And then I'm going to insert a cylinder, so I'm going to come over here to my IMM primitives, and then switch over to a cylinder, and then click and drag that guy, like so. And I might even, let's do a taper on that guy too, just to taper in that top just a little bit. that a little bit bigger. Yeah. Okay, and then we want to add that little bottom ridge too. So I'm going to switch over to Z Modeler, my Z Modeler brush. Insert a edge loop, drop that down this direction. Poly loop, polygroup a poly loop, and then extrude that poly group out like that. And now we have that interesting little lip on the bottom of that guy. And then I'm going to add some loops to help with my bevel. Control D. Oh, I'm going to unmask, then Control D. And then I'm going to re-dynamesh everything all together like so. And then another thing these guys have is they have this little interesting loop, you know, this little plastic deal that attaches to this and then swings back around so this lid can pop off. So what I'll probably do is scooch this guy up just a little bit, pull this guy up, and let's try this. How do I do this? Okay, I think what I'm going to do for that is actually, it's going to be tricky, but I'm going to come up here to cylinder pipe, and then I'm going to insert a cylinder pipe in there, and get this guy into place. Scale it up. Scale it in this direction. And where's that thing connect to? I'm trying to figure it out. I think I'm gonna come over here. I'm gonna just split hidden and just split this guy into its own subtool and delete all this other stuff real quick. So I'm gonna delete this inner edge right here, and then turn it on, display properties, double-sided, and then I'm going to delete these guys as well because I just want that loop. And then I'm just going to hit modify topology, delete hidden, and mask these guys, blur my mask. Let's see what that does, and then just kind of bring these guys in and kind of, I don't know if this is really working very well. It's alright though. And now I'm just going to extrude this all out and give it some thickness. And then maybe squash it in Y. And then maybe inflate it out just a little bit. It's kind of looking crappy. Just rerun a Dynamesh there. And using my move topological so I can grab that bottom part and kind of just cinch it up right there like so. This is just a small detail. Yeah, it's probably not going to show up. I tend to say that a lot with my stuff. So I think it connects to the outer edge of that guy, and then it can kind of look in. I don't know. I'm going to merge it down, and oops. So the next detail, actually, before I re-dynamesh everything, turn on solo mode, is I need to add these little interesting lips here that these seams that come around. So for whatever reason, my clay buildup brush doesn't want to work, I guess. Weird. Okay. I guess it was masked or something. Let's do this. So this guy come around like this, and then they kind of tuck back in like so. And use H-polish to pull out that edge just a little. And remember, this is fabric, so it's okay for it to be not perfectly smooth. This should actually have some wrinkling to it. Yeah. Take a sander to come back around that seam. And we'll come down here and add some other wrinkle details, turning off our symmetry. Control Shift left click and tap, and bring everything back so you can see how it's all looking together. Okay, so if you wanted to, you could just you could go to polygroups and do an auto group, and then redynamesh everything based on groups, and then you can kind of still work things out. And mostly the reason I would do that is because I have this thing now intersecting down here, and so if I want to get that out of the way, I can just Control-Shift left click and get that out of the way. I'm probably just getting a little nitpicky. Bring everything back. I think that looks like a canteen. I think it's looking pretty good. Oh, we need to add our little buttons here. Interesting little guys. And what we can do is we can come over here to some of these IMM parts, brushes, and just take a look through these and see what kind of buttons we have access to. I don't like any of those. Let's go to IMM model kits. This one can take a while to load up because there's a lot of models. It'll load up and this gives you pretty much everything you could ever want. So I just want one of like a classic looking rivet. We'll try this guy right here, fastener, I guess that would be. So I'm gonna make those nice and pretty large so that they'll print nicely, and it's all good. So we've got groups turned on, so we'll dynamesh those in, and maybe we'll carve around these seams just a little bit better. And as far as I know, this seam kind of like tucks back underneath itself. Continue to make it look fabric-y as much as we can. Okay, it's got a nice degree of stylization with it. I'm pretty happy with it. I don't know if I like this little corner that's jutting out so far. I'm gonna hit save. Oops, what did I do? I guess I switched my subtool. Hit save. And now let's get these guys into place. Look how cool that looks. It looks so cool. Oh, gosh. Okay, so I'm gonna add, recenter my pivot here. And then I think I'm gonna swap out actually that ammo pouch for this canteen and give him a couple of canteens on the side. So I'm gonna alt left click over to the belt, and fortunately I didn't combine these very well. So it's gonna be a little bit of a headache. Switching to my mask lasso, I'm gonna make this the only visible pack and then invert my selection to send that back to the invisible layer. Oh my goodness, what a mess. What a mess this is. One sec here. Let's figure this stuff out. Okay, so now I'm going to invert, and now we've got all this rubbish in here. So I'm going to go to polygroups and do an auto group for now. Clean some of this up. And I'm going to send this back to the invisible layer. What is going on there with that guy? That's weird. What a headache. Hiding. So I'm just holding Control-Shift and then left-clicking to send these into the invisible layer. So now I'm Control-Alt+Shift, drag a lasso, and now I've got access to these guys. Now I'm going to invert my selection and delete them, kill them. And now I'm going to mirror and weld this guy over to the other side. And make sure my symmetry's on. And then now he's got two cool canteens, and that's looking pretty sweet. Okay, this one's still at the origin, so I'm just going to delete this guy. We don't need this at the origin anymore. And we are going to save. One thing I almost always do, and you'll notice if you watch my videos, is I make everything too skinny in the Z direction. So right now I'm going to do this fun thing called scaling everything in Z. And I'm just going to unlock and reset my orientation, relock, and then turn on all subtools. And I'm going to click on this blue square and drag it out this way just a little bit. And add some thickness in the Z direction. And I'm going to hit save. And let's be sure to Alt-Tab back to our concept and see how things are looking. And he's just got more girth. He's got a little bit more, I don't want to say a belly, but he's just got more size through his pelvis and abdomen area. So I need to try to achieve that still. And I think what I'm going to do is just turn on the visible subtools that I want to manipulate. Okay, so I want his pants, I want his shirt, I want his probably his belt, wherever that is. It's this guy. But I don't want his packs, I just want his belt. So I'm gonna, when you get this weird situation where you have polygroups and everything else is hidden, you can do this fun thing called visibility. Go over to visibility, go to grow, and it'll just like grow by topology. So now we have just the belt visible, and you'll see why I'm doing this. So I'm going to get this out of the group with the packs for now and just do a split hidden and turn off the pack visibility, turn off solo, turn back on the pants and the mole gear. And I think that's it for now. And then for these, now I can just send these visible tools over to the T-pose layer and start to kind of bring out, add some mass to this area, scale out my brush size, and just work on that silhouette just a little bit more. It's getting better. His pants have a little bit more bulk to them. He's looking less emo. I think baggy pants are the craze nowadays. You're going back to like Jinko jeans and these silly looking fads that all the kids are going to be super embarrassed to get into, getting baggier pants. Those giant tube leg pants. We used to call them Jinkos back in the day. Okay, so now I can actually A/B back. So I can click back to my old subtool and see what the change is. And I like that change. I think that's exactly what I want. So I'm going to come back here and now go back to Z plugin, transpose master, click on T-pose sub T. T-pose sub T. That's a rapper name for sure. Okay, and now I'll turn everything back on. In order to turn all of these on at the same time, you can hold shift and left click on those, and it'll turn all your subtools on. Pocket out. Yeah, I'm liking this a lot better. Looking a lot better. Okay, so we're about 30 minutes in. I need to finish the my favorite pack of all is called the butt pack. You can laugh it up all you want, but that's what it is. I'm going to append another cube because that's basically what it is. And go to Alt left click on the cube, turn on solo mode, get everything out of the way. And for this guy, we're going to actually scale him in the turn off all subtools. Make sure you do that. In this direction, in the X direction, and probably still do a little bit of a taper in the Y. Yeah, and then one fun thing you can do is, well, I'll just, with my symmetry on, I'm just going to run a smooth real quick. Actually, I'm going to scale up my draw size. And you'll notice that sometimes your draw size like caps at that size. I hate it. I wish it didn't do that, but you have to click this little dynamic button right here in the upper right corner. It's really hard to click to be able to go beyond that default size. I'm not a fan either. Look, I mean, you talk to Max on. Tell Zbrush about it. Because I can't stand it. I can't stand that we just can't scale larger without having to click a little obscure button. Hopefully they'll address that at some point in time. And let's see if we're getting the right size here. I don't know. All right, so now let's work on the top part of the pack. So I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to come over here and do a slice curve, and then slice the top of that guy, and then Control Shift left click on the top part, and then just delete hidden. So get rid of that guy, and then run a Z remesh on this, just like we did on the ammo pouches. Actually, I'm going to do a group loops first, and then do a Z remesh at a 2 poly count. And the reason you do group loops first is because it'll generally just clean up that edge, that bottom edge, and it makes the Z remesh process work better. So I'm going to go to Z modeler, skip. Why did it say that? Anyway, I'm gonna extrude this. Sorry, extrude polygroup all. So extrude that guy out. Extrude this guy down. No, that's probably too much. A little bit less. There we go. And I'm gonna Control Shift left click click on the other groups. And I just want to make this guy my own group like we did before. And I'm gonna do an extrude now. And now we're seeing a nice little seam, ridge, edge there, whatever you want to call it. We're gonna add our loops. And Control D. And there we go. Now we've got a nice looking top part of that pouch using this Damien standard to get our wrinkles in there, up under. And gonna merge this guy down into this guy now. Okay, so we got a decent looking butt pack for now. I'm just gonna hit save to be safe. And it looks like we gotta add a few more details on there. I'm going to use the Move Topological brush to get this lid, this top part. Looks like it comes down a little bit more and maybe like pops out a little bit more up there. So and then we got these sweet little let's do curved straps again. Let's see what that looks like. We'll just draw them up here because if you go over that ridge, it kind of makes this weird thing going on here. So, oh my goodness. Hotkeys are hard. So I'm using the snake hook brush now, and I'm going to just pull these down. So they kind of come down here and get caught up in these little buckles down below. I'm going to scale these in the X direction, add some thickness to them, stylize them. When in doubt, stylize it out. Okay, and I don't like that I'm seeing polys on those really, so I'm just gonna, I think I'm gonna just make those subdivided real quick and add my loops where they need to be. Oops, don't want to grab that. Oh my gosh, annoying. Okay, hit subdivide. Whoop, add another loop right here. Subdivide. And we'll do a polygroup auto groups, and then we will delete lower and switch into Dynamesh mode with groups on. Turn it to the 300-ish or something. It's too high. 120. Whoops. Groups on 120. 130. Okay, good enough for me. And hit save. And actually, I'm going to cut these guys down just a little. So we have another detail to add. This butt pack is kicking our butt. Okay. And then this particular one that I'm looking at has this interesting little like Velcro strap right here that I kind of dig. So I'm going to add that. And we just remember this can be a pretty prominent feature. So I'm gonna inflate this guy. Nice. And then it looks like there's like some seams that run along up here. And then I think there's some, there's some seams that come along down here too. Maybe go along the back. Maybe even go along right here. And again, I always like to go back over that with like an inflate to kind of both pop out the seam, but also cinch in that little edge, that inner edge that we've carved in. And then we'll rerun a Dynamesh. I'm gonna actually crank the resolution on that Dynamesh just a smidge, 200. And then Control Shift left click on that guy, and let's carve back in some details down here along that edge. This is a lovely opportunity to pitch my pinch brush. Pitch the pinch brush. Love me the pinch brush. Any chance I get. I'm just pinching in the size of these overall. And then let's get to wrinkle details. You know, this thing isn't, it's a little bit rigid of a fabric, but it's gonna have some wrinkles. Okay, so now a few things. Let's add, save. I find myself using save as more than ever just because I don't trust the save function in Zbrush just yet. It's still too new to me, and I'm an old dog, so I'm just like, I don't trust it. Control Shift, left click, bring back both these straps, make those guys visible, and smooth those out so we don't see that faceting there. And then another thing I want to add is, let's do this. I'm going to unhide everything. I'm going to duplicate this guy and then bring back my straps and then do like a modify topology, delete hidden. And I'm going to draw out some fancy pants little buckles right here, like so. On this guy. Hit Control W to polygroup those, hide everything else outside of that polygroup, delete hidden, edge loop, group loops, and smooth those out as best as you can. You might have to do a little bit of, a little bit of this to kind of just clean things up a little bit. Ideally, you would have done your extract on a mesh that was higher poly, and then you wouldn't have to be cleaning this up as much. Let's do a Z remesh here. Just set it to like a 1 or a 2. Do a 2, and then hit Z remesh and see what that does for us. Let's crank it down to 1 and try again. And that's looking okay. So we'll come up here to Z modeler now and do an extrude polygroup all. Pull that guy up and out, and then hit subdivide a few times, and then we'll redynamesh. Whoops, it's probably too high. What's going on here? Oh, turn off groups. That's going to be a mess. Turn off groups. Maybe turn on polish. See what that does. It's not perfect, but it's going to be a very small detail. So I'm not going to overthink it too much. Maybe do deformation and then do like a 2, maybe like a 10. Okay. Okay. Another thing to say in Utah. Okay. It's looking mushy, but it's fine. Everything's fine. Okay, so let's continue to get that into place. And then I'm going to come back to these dudes. Oops. Come on, just select it. You have to select the vert. I hate that so much. Okay. And then we're gonna center our pivot on these guys and just kind of push this out like that. It's gonna kind of just fit into this guy. And turn everything else back on. And one thing that's cool too is actually, let's duplicate these guys and bring these down here as well. And then we'll do the same thing here, but we'll get a little handsier with it. Just pull it down like this. I'm using my mouse. Did you notice that? I was using my mouse. Oh, I have a perfectly good stylus here. And I'm going to mask this and pull these guys down even further. And then redynamesh them. And those guys kind of hang down, nice and cool like. Look at that head. That's awesome. Okay, let's turn off this drawing thing. I don't know what that's all about. All right, let's let's merge these guys down. So the butt pack is now going to be rotated. Let's do center our pivot, rotate it 180 degrees. And it looks like we got some issues here. What's going on here? This is not good. Let's inflate these out. This is becoming a mess, it looks like. It's because we did an H polish without having and it had a thickness to it. So what that does is that creates these awkward little holes, and that's not good. And we did the same on this side too. So just inflate those out and then rerun a Dynamesh and it'll fill. Oops, looks like we lost our Dynamesh. It turned off or something. What the heck is going on here, people? Alright, now it worked. Just took 18,000 tries. Just inflating all these little areas out, because that's the issue when you're working with Dynamesh and something has a minimal thickness. It'll just be difficult. Okay, gonna save real quick before Zbrush crashes, and just make a few more detailing adjustments here. Back to my favorite pinch brush, and emphasize these lines a little better. Zbrush also has some cool little some cool stitch brushes. Let me save. And if you wanted to actually get crazy with it and go over to Lightbox Tools, go to Brushes, and load up some of these. Where are they? Where'd they go? Oh, right here. Stitch brush. They have a few different patterns here you can try. You can double click on that stitch, and then you can actually just drag along and it'll add these little stitches. It obviously doesn't work for what we're doing right now. You'd probably just rather use like a single stitch or something like this. But we could have done that down here instead of doing what we did, but we like to do things the hard way in our household. So, and as always, you can hop online and people have made some sick stitch brushes that you could just use. Me personally, I'm moving on from this, so I'm gonna keep on cranking. Okay, so let's get this out of the way of his head, because he looks awesome. And then move this down and back. And scale it in that way a little bit. And let's use the snake hook brush. Snake hook brush, where are you? And then turn symmetry on and kind of make it look like it's got a little bit more of a weight to it. Sag that thing down just a little bit. See, look at that. I love this. A good butt pack. Oh, nothing better than a good butt pack. Put that on a bumper sticker. So these guys come out just a little bit. They're intersecting just a little bit too much. And I mean, honestly, we're working in symmetrically, and that's great and all, but things just look better when you try to push into asymmetrical land. I think we're going to hold off to do that for now. But I think we're pretty good on the packs. let's take a look at our concept and see what kind of stuff we got going. So he's got 2 or 3 of those, and then he's got this interesting little leg pouch, and this is also called a dump pouch, where it's just an empty bag where you can throw, you know, empty mags or whatever stuff you want to hold on to, you know, like candy bars, things like that. And so we might, it's time to wrap this video up, but I'll probably make another couple of pouches in the next video, and then we'll move on to the grenades. And then after that, we'll do our gun and our rifle, and then we'll move into like polishing phase. So thanks again for joining me. I hope you're kicking butt, and let me know what I can do better. Let me know if I can explain things a little bit better. Like I says, this is intended for people who are a little bit more versed in ZBrush vernacular. So anyway, I'm excited to see you all in the next video. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you later.